Hi everyone, I am back with another video of hand embroidery. This is our second embroidery workshop, and you know what? I thought of putting into this something that we learned in our last art workshop, and that is dandelions. So today I'm going to show you how to get this really nice wall hanging of a dandelion embroidery, and let's get started. Okay, so let's start by telling you what you need. So first thing you need is the drawing of your dandelions here, and the next thing that you'll need is the hoop. Okay, you need the material. I've got the material here and I've cut it so that it fits into the hoop perfectly. And to draw the picture, you need a pencil. I'll be using this pencil today to draw, and I'm going to be using colors of three shades of embroidery, and this is for the flower and this is for the green, and the needle that I'll be using today, and the scissors. So let's start by drawing the picture. I've completed doing the drawing, so turn the material the right side up because that's where I'm going to be doing my embroidery on. So for today's dandelions, I'll be using 4 types of stitches. The first one is the French knot, which you already know. Second one is the lacy daisy stitch. Third one is the stem stitch, and the fourth one is just a normal straight stitch. So I also have a tip for you, so let's get going. So these embroidery threads usually come 6 strands per one thread, as you can see here. That's just the standard way. So the tip is that if you want your embroidery to turn out to look bold and thick, you can actually use all 6 strands. So that gives you a sort of, bold look for your embroidery. But you can also, if you want the embroidery to turn out to be mild and gentle, you can separate these 6 strands into any number of strands that you want. You could separate it into 2 strands, 3 strands, or above that is mostly falls into the bold category again. So stick to 2 or 3 if you want to make it mild and gentle looking. So the thickness of your embroidery is actually based on how many threads you use, how many strands of the thread you use, and I'll be using 3 strands for my embroidery today, and let's get going. Out of the 4 stitches that I initially mentioned, for the lines of the dandelion, I'll be using a very easy and simple straight stitch. It's all you have to do for it is just bring the thread from the bottom and down from the edge of the line. See, it's as easy and simple as that. It's just that. Now if you look close, you can see that I have 2 lines, lines of 2 different lengths. One is long and the other one's a bit shorter than that. And you'll have to continue this pattern throughout the dandelion. So I'll show you how to do one of the short ones as well before I complete it. You pull it the same way as you did the long one and just pull it from the bottom. Okay, now that I've shown you that, I will be completing the first dandelion and I'll get back to you. Now, as you can see, I have completed both the dandelions, but just the lines, we're not done yet. So to complete this dandelion, to give us a complete look, we are gonna be adding a French knot at the end of each line of this dandelion, both long and short. And we're gonna do this, like I said, to give us a complete dandelion. For the French knots, you can actually use any color you want. You could continue with the same color that you used for the lines of the dandelion, or you could use a completely contrasting color like this thread I'm going to be using today, which is white. So I'm looking forward to filling the center of the dandelion as well with French knots of color white. And I'll show you how we're gonna, I hope you remember how to do the French knot I taught you in my earlier video. I'm gonna bring the thread up, do the twisting and turning. You're gonna put it through the same hole and you're gonna pull it from behind. That gives you a French knot. So this is gonna look very gentle because it's white, gentle and sweet. Now we'll move on to a shorter line. Continue the same process 3 times and down through the same hole. I've completed 2 now, and I'll get back to you once I've completed both the dandelions with French knots with their centers. So now that I've completed both the dandelions, fully completed both the dandelions, I'll be moving on to the stem, which I will be embroidering using the stem stitch. Stem with the stem stitch. So the first thing that you need to do, as always, is to bring the needle from behind. You're going to pull it all the way up. Now, to make it consistent, we are going to always have the thread on the left side of our hand. So always on the left side. The first stitch, you're going to take it a bit longer than the rest of it. So you're going to pull it down about from here. You're going to insert it. Before you pull it all the way down, I'm going to bring it up from, you know what, let's have the thread on the right side, and you're going to bring the needle up from the material right halfway through this point, okay? Halfway through this point, you're going to bring your needle up just like that. Now you're going to pull this so that it goes back. That is your first stitch. So I've decided to use all 6 strands of the thread for this because I want the stem to be thick and bold. So once you've got the first one done, the next one is a bit shorter. You insert the needle a bit closer, just like that. And just like before, before you bring the whole thread through, you're gonna insert the needle at this point, okay? At the point where you ended your first stitch. So I'm gonna bring it up from that point and pull it. This is gonna give you a pattern, as you can see. They're not on each other, they're actually beside each other. This is what you call the stem stitch, and I'll show you one more before I continue with the rest. So since my stem is curved, if you chose to have a straight stem, it's going to be much easier for you, but I'm going to have to put more effort into this because it's curved, because it has to be neat. I'll show you one more. Bring it down, and before you pull it all the way down, you're going to insert your needle from where you ended the earlier stitch, right there. Okay, so you're going to continue this, and I'll get back to you once I've completed both the stems. So now as you can see, I have completed the stem with the stem stitch. Now we'll be moving on to the leaves of the dandelion, which I will be completing using what's called a lacy daisy stitch. I know that's new to you, and that's why I'm gonna show you how to do it. So for this lacy daisy stitch, I'll be using a shaded green, and I'm using this just like the shaded colors that I used for the flowers, and it's gonna add a bit of beauty to the whole embroidery. So to start your lacy daisy stitch, as always, you're gonna insert. Now a little tip here is you're gonna have to fill the stitches in an angular manner, because if you do this straight in a straight manner, it's not going to turn out to be very leafy. And pull up the thread from there. What you have to do now is you take a twist and you're gonna bring the needle up through the same hole, or a bit further than that. You can use the segmenting line of the leaf in the middle as a guideline. You're gonna take your needle up from there and you're gonna pull it up from there, and you're gonna bring it up from here, okay, from the first insertion point there. Now this is a bit hard because it's near the end of the hoop and my needle gets stuck there, so let's try my best to bring it up. And okay, now you're gonna pull your needle through. Now I have a long piece of thread, so this is gonna be a bit of a task to do. There we go. Now you have your first lacy daisy. This is what your lacy daisy should look like. Now because we have to secure this lacy daisy in place, now you have your needle up from there, pull it, and from the same place you're gonna take your needle down like that. Now why do we do this? We're doing this to secure the lacy daisy, because otherwise when we continue, this might come out. So there you go. We have secured it with a ring-like structure, a stitch. Let's move on to the second lacy daisy stitch, which I'll start right about the middle of the leaf and pull it up as always. Take a turn, bring it through the same hole, and up from the edge of the leaf. It's taking a while, like I said, because it's near the end of the hoop. Okay. Now pull the needle just like we did before, and what do we do next? We secure it just like that. Okay, so now I've taught you how to do a simple lacy daisy stitch, which I will be continuing on with this leaf and with this leaf, and I'll get back to you once I'm done. Okay, so after a few hours of embroidery, I have finally finished, completed the dandelion embroidery. I've completed the two leaves with the shade of the green that I was talking to you about earlier, and it's finally completed. This is actually, I think it gives like a mild and gentle look, and this is a perfect wall hanging of embroidery. So some of you might be wondering where to get these supplies from, like for example the hoops, and there are certain shops around Qatar, and since we can't mention the names of the shop, if you really want to know where you can get these, you can maybe message us privately in WhatsApp, or you can add a comment so we can tell you where you can get these supplies and get some embroidery going. So this was our second embroidery video, and I hope to get back to you with another such video, with another surprise for y'all maybe. And so bye for now.